let's get into this protein story, okay? I sometimes, when I think back onto what I used to recommend to my clients before I started to specialize in hormone health, I honestly cringe at the amount of protein that I was recommending. And really this was because in this traditional world of nutritionists and health coaches and personal trainers, we tend to overconsume protein because of our fear around carbohydrates. You know, there's a lot of stuff going around at the moment. Whenever I flick through a magazine article, whenever I'm looking at different health topics that are being talked about at the moment, it tends to be around this low carbohydrate, high fat, or low carbohydrate, moderate fat, high protein diet. And so what does high protein actually look like? You know, how much protein is too much? And so these are the questions I'm going to be answering over the next couple of days. But the first concept that I really want you to understand is that it really comes down to how much that your liver can handle. What? How much your liver can handle? Yeah. How much your liver can handle. You see, your liver can only handle dealing with 50 grams of protein at one time. Okay, so 50 grams, not the weighted grams. I'm talking about 50 grams of actual protein in, say, a piece of steak. So let's say, for example, in 100 grams of steak, right, there in weight. Okay, so 100 grams of weighted steak is about 23 to 25 grams of actual protein. All right, and the liver can only deal with 50 grams of protein at one time, which is about 200 weighted grams. All right, so that depends though. Whether your body can actually utilize that depends on the condition of the liver, all right, and whether it is actually healthy. And in most cases, when people come to see me, their liver is not in good condition. Now, you know, a lot of people don't fully understand what the relationship is in terms of with the liver and the job that it has to do, but it has a big job and it's got to take care of so many other things apart from that are not breaking down your fat. All right, that's one of its primary roles, to break down your fat in order for you to either use it and turn it into a hormone, or whether you need to be excreting it in order for you to lose weight. All right, but if the liver is already quite loaded and it's spending a lot of time detoxifying and processing other things, then having large amounts of protein in the diet is really not going to be ideal for fat burning. Now, when it comes to hormone health, the basic concept that I need you to understand is that there are two categories of hormones when it comes to fat burning, okay, in relation to fat burning. Now, there are 6 of them that must be high, and we're going to call these fat-burning hormones. Okay, and most of these are growth hormones. And so when they are high, your body is fat-burning. But there are other hormones that your body will be producing that oppose these, and we're going to call these fat storage hormones, and there are only 3 of them. Okay, and usually I use my son's sippy cup bottle when I'm looking for props, but I couldn't find that, so we're using an EcoStore dishwasher liquid. Okay, so fat burning hormones, growth and recovery hormones, fat storage hormones, and they oppose each other. So when you produce a lot of growth hormone, fat burning hormones, they suppress these, all right? So you're producing less fat storage hormones. But when you are eating in the way that is increasing those fat storage hormones, it suppresses fat burning hormones. Now, even though there are 6 of these and only 3 of these, it doesn't matter. If you are producing any one of those 3 in excess, then you will suppress fat burning hormones. Okay, so that's the first concept you need to understand. Now, when it comes to different food categories, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, it's interesting to note, okay, that they all trigger different kinds of hormones. Some of them trigger fat burning hormones. Some of them trigger fat storage hormones. Okay, so when it comes to carbohydrates, most of us know that carbohydrates make us fat, and the reason why is because they trigger fat storage hormones. Now, that I realize that was a real general statement, but the reason why I say it like that is because most people have problems with the amount and the type of carbohydrate that they are consuming. Okay, out of all of the food categories. usually the amount, and because all the delicious sweet things fall into that carbohydrate category, it's easy to get a lot of sugars and the overconsumption of sugars in your diet. So therefore, it's going to be triggering excessive amounts of insulin, which is a fat storage hormone, suppressing these growth and recovery hormones. All right, so if you can get that under control, then theoretically this should happen. Okay, if you can moderate your carbohydrates, then this should happen. And so in the moderation of lowering your carbohydrates, what goes up? Protein. Okay, protein generally is the food category that goes up, and it tends to go up in an excessive amount, right? Because of our fear of carbohydrates getting these fat storage hormones too high. Now, what kind of hormones do protein trigger? Do they trigger fat storage, or do they trigger fat burning? Well, they can trigger both. Okay, protein can trigger both. They can trigger fat burning hormones when you consume them in the right quantities. All right, and they can also trigger fat burning hormones, fat storage hormones, if you are eating too much. If you eat excessive amounts of protein, then your body will create fat storage hormones, not the fat burning hormones. Okay, it's super important to understand, because there is such a thing as having too much protein. I have had a lot of clients come to me saying that they have tried high protein, low carbohydrate, and it doesn't work, or it worked to begin with, but then they completely plateaued and it just didn't work, and this is why. Okay, so that's a real basic concept I wanted you to understand about protein. The amount of protein you should be aiming for is going to differ according to the way that you store body fat. All right, so whether you store fat globally, or whether it's predominantly around your waist and central, or whether you store fat in the lower half of the body. So tomorrow, that is what we're going to go through. But the amount of protein that I want you to generally look out for is about 50 to 75 grams. Now that's not weighted. Okay, it's not weighted. That's the amount of actual protein grams. So the example that I gave at the beginning was in 100 grams of steak, weighted. That would give you between 23 to 25 actual protein grams. So the amount of protein grams you want to be aiming for in a day is between 50 and 75 protein grams. All right, spread throughout the day for some of you. And look, I'm going to go much more into detail with you on that tomorrow. Okay, so if you want to know how much protein you should be having according to you and your body type and the way that you are storing fat, then tune in tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. But what you can do today is keep a little food log. Okay, keep a food journal, write down what you eat, and then at the end of the day, just jump on Google and have a look at the amount of protein that you were consuming at each of your main meals and see whether it was excessively over that 75 gram mark, or whether you were in between, or whether you were quite low. Okay, so not even hitting 50. Between 50 and 75 is what you want to be aiming for. So that's the message for today, guys. Stay tuned tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. New Zealand time, to find out the best way to be having that protein according to your body type. So whether you store fat globally, whether you store it around your midsection, or whether you're storing it just in the lower half of your body, predominantly in the butt and in the thighs. I'm going to give you the answers to that tomorrow. So if you want to reach out to me, if you've got any specific questions, if you even need to ask me anything, you can contact me through my website. It's generationhealth.co.nz. It's www.generationhealth.co.nz. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the morning.